So if after this video you still believe that we weren't founded on Christian values, then okay. Then you lack common sense. If you don't believe that God created this country, then no amount of education will help you because you don't have common sense. But there's a reason so many people wanted to go after the early, the Pilgrims, the Puritans, the Scottish Covenanters. So you have to remember, way back in the 16th, 17th, 18th, they did not have cell phones. They didn't have telephones. These were different sects of people. The Scottish Covenanters, they were all Protestants, but they all differed in small ways in the, but all being led by God, all knowing they were being led by God at different times. Again, they're not calling each other up, somewhere in England or Holland and saying, hey, you know what, we think we're being led by God. You guys want to come with us? No. But all of them believed that this was the New Jerusalem. The Pilgrims believed they were the spiritually chosen people. All of them following God's voice. That's the biggest thing. So when the Orthodox and Catholic churches can't sit their asses back and say, wait a minute, God is moving all of these people aren't just doing this on their own. No, there's something major. There's a major event happening here. And instead of us, since we say we're the first church and we know so much, realizing that maybe we don't know so much, maybe the people that do know what they're talking about are the people actually being led by God. No humility there. Then the Catholic Church comes here and then wants to complain that it's being persecuted. No wisdom, just wanting to get scholars to control the Bible and tell everyone else what to believe. And that's the very thing Jesus was ending. That's why he woed the Pharisees, because they were leading people to hell. Same thing, still going on. So God was stopping all of that, and yet the first group that came was the Pilgrims, okay, in 1620 to Plymouth. They believed they were spiritually chosen. They were believed in each individual. All of these sects believed that you still hear God's voice. Like everybody today, this is how watered down it's all been. Just believes, no, whatever the word says, that's it. Nobody hears God's voice. It's like, oh. Yes, you do, but it's a commitment that you have to. These people were invested in everything they did. They relied on God. So God is you're going to hear God then. You will. Again, it's not an audible, it's hard to explain. So the Pilgrims were the first ones to arrive in 1620 to Plymouth. Then the Puritans came next from anywhere from 1620 to 1640. They migrated. All of these that I'm mentioning, all for religious reasons, believed they were being led by God, believed this was the new Holy Land, this was the New Jerusalem. And yet these people weren't from the same church. They were all sects of Protestantism and the Reformation, all of that, but they were not all from the same church that just came together. No. Then in the 1700s, most especially 1770, that's when the Scottish Covenanters came. All of these people, all of these different sects, especially the Scottish Covenanters, they're called Covenanters for a reason. They made a covenant with God. Even though this world thinks that means nothing, oh yes, it does. That's the reason we say God bless America, because God blessed America. The Pilgrims made a covenant. Why would all these different, again, they're not on the phone. There is no phones. There's no cell phones. They're from different churches coming at different times. I mean, the Scottish Covenanters coming in the 1770s, yet the Pilgrims came in 1620. And then from 1630 to 1640, the Puritans came. all landing in different places and believed they were being led by God. If you can deny that that's God, like the Catholic Church does, like the Orthodox, all the people that think they're experts in the Bible, then you're somebody that doesn't have common sense, which is why you don't hear from God. It's the truth. God's not talking to the churches. He's not talking to the Pope. He's not. No, these are the people that were always leading everyone astray. But the very fact that the Vatican couldn't see, like, wait a minute, all of these people are leaving because of us. Yes, because all of this happened again once King Charles, was it King Charles? He was the son of King James the First, got in. Then everything changed, and it was all this Catholic stuff, so it didn't sit right with the Protestants. Look, I'm sorry if Catholics don't like it. If you want to continue to make excuses to yourself, then go ahead. Go ahead, do what you got to do, okay? But these people were being led by God to come here, and if you can't, and because God was leading them here, he wanted them away from the Catholic Church. Now, it got to a point where there was nothing you can do about it, and God talks about everybody growing together. But the very fact that the Vatican, if they had humility, if they were hearing God's voice, then they should have known that. Hell, even if you're not hearing God's voice, that should just be obvious. Because by the time it got to the 18th century, millions of Protestants seeking to practice the right practice and get away from the Catholic Church, millions had come here. Millions by the 18th century for religious reasons. That's the reason these communists in these universities that carry on about how horrible these people, no, these people were not horrible. They just hate the fact that God did lead them, and they don't want you to know that, because there's no way you can deny that that was God at work. That's why so many of these people saw themselves as the modern day Israelites. They were the more mature form of it. It was totally God moving them. I mean, they called it the Great Puritan Migration by the time the Puritans started coming, because that was a 20-year span. And then come 1770, the Scottish Covenanters. Now, this is in Ireland, but this was one of the people that came here, this Reverend William Martin. This stone marks the place of ordination at the vow on the 2nd July, 1757, of the first Reformed Presbyterian Covenanter minister, you can see, who preached faithfully across Ulster and in this place until October 1772, when he migrated with 460 families for the New World in the Americas, landed in South Carolina, USA in December 1772, and established numerous new congregations for Christ's crown and covenant. These people made covenants. That's huge with God, even though the universities here are ignorant and don't recognize just the common sense of that. So, covenants, God keeps those covenants. That's the reason this country is blessed. All of these people. So just even before the Scottish Covenanters, the Puritan migration alone in that 20 years brought 20 to 25,000 Puritans seeking to practice the way they knew God wanted them to practice, God giving them the strength. And each one of these groups saying, no, they heard God's voice and God was leading them. You are stupid to ignore that. That's how blessed this country is. And that's how much people take it for granted. And these are the ships. I know it says Freemason, but that's the ship they came on. Okay, where they left from, where they arrived. Okay, that's just the name of the ship. But, okay, there's records of it. The Hopewell, where it arrived. Pennsylvania Farmer, arrived in South Carolina. James and Mary, that's why that in Washington, the James and Mary University, I think it's named after them. Yeah, Charleston, 5 children died on the way here. So for people to not see that that is God at work means they don't know God. So these churches that claim they do don't.